She walked into the GP tent with a mop in one hand and a battered old bucket in the other, just another janitor working the night shift. But something about the way she moved made the young Marine Lance Corporal freeze. She carried herself with razor-sharp posture, eyes scanning the room like she'd memorized every exit long before she stepped inside. He laughed and asked her a question he never imagined would flip the entire tent upside down. "From which part of the country are you watching from? Leave a comment below." The GP tent buzzed with the usual late evening energy, Marines finishing their gear checks, medics sorting supplies, generators humming against the desert wind. Lance Corporal David Riker was in a good mood, joking with the guys, riding the high of a long but successful day. That was when he saw here the new female janitor, quietly entering with a mop, her brown coveralls slightly worn, her dark hair pulled back tightly into a bun. She didn't speak to anyone, didn't ask for space, and didn't even look intimidated by the rough, loud atmosphere of a Marine field tent. She simply surveyed the room with a level of confidence that didn't match her job description. Riker, always the smart-mouthed one, grinned as she passed. "Evening, ma'am." "What's your rank?" he joked, nudging his body. The tent chuckled. She paused, looked at him for half a second, then simply replied, "No rank, Marine. Just here to clean." Her voice was calm, too calm, too steady. Riker felt something strange ripple across the back of his neck, but he brushed it off. A janitor was a janitor, yet she moved like someone who'd spent years in command, stepping lightly, precisely, as though she expected the tent to respond to her presence. Moments later, the tent flap snapped open, and 3 senior officers walked in, 2 majors and a lieutenant colonel. Every Marine shot to attention, but the officers didn't even look at them. Instead, all 3 men locked eyes on the janitor. Riker noticed the shift immediately. Their posture tightened, not with suspicion, but with recognition, a broken bar and something close to fear. The janitor looked up, expression unchanged, as the lieutenant colonel stepped forward. "Ma'am, a broken bar," he said, voice dropping respectfully. "We weren't notified you'd be arriving at this site." Riker's jaw fell open. "Ma'am, majors didn't address janitors like that." "No one did." The woman placed her mop against the wall, wiped her hands calmly on a rag, and spoke in a tone that made the entire tent feel colder. "I'm not here in any official capacity, just observing." Riker watched the officers stiffen like they'd walked into an inspection they hadn't studied for. Marines exchanged confused glances. This woman didn't look dangerous, yet the highest-ranking men in the region acted as though she carried nuclear codes. The lieutenant colonel cleared his throat. "Permission to inform command of your presence?" "Denied," she said instantly. "I'm here off record." Riker swallowed. His little joke suddenly burned in his chest. His body whispered, "Do a broken bar." "What did you do?" Before Riker could respond, the tent entrance opened again, up this time with the entire staff platoon following a captain who looked like he'd sprinted across space. The moment he saw her, he froze mid-step. "Ma'am," he barked, snapping into a perfect salute. The Marines, trained to react to salutes like muscle memory, instinctively followed. Even Riker saluted before his brain caught up. The tent fell silent. The woman let out a slow breath, almost disappointed. "At ease, everyone." Riker couldn't take it anymore. "Ma'am, a broken bar. Who are you?" She studied him for a long moment, long enough to make him wish he'd never opened his mouth earlier. Finally, she walked toward him. "Years ago," she said softly, "I held the rank of lieutenant general." But titles fade, service doesn't. Riker felt his knees weaken. A 3-star general and one of the highest-ranking officers in the entire military had stood in front of him, a broken bar holding a mop. She continued, "I retired because I needed to step away from command. Too much politics, too many decisions that cost too many good people." Her eyes drifted to the ground for a moment, heavy with memories. "But I couldn't stay away from Marines, so I volunteer quietly. I clean tents, I observe. I see how Marines treat the people they think don't matter." Riker felt the words punch straight into his gut. She looked at him directly. "And tonight," she gave the smallest nod, "you treated me like a human being." A bit of a smart mouth, yes, but respectful. "And that matters more than you know." Riker exhaled hard, not realizing he'd been holding his breath. The tent remained dead silent, no one daring to move. The former general grabbed her mop, slung the bucket's handle over her wrist, and headed for the exit. Before leaving, she turned back, "Carry on, Marines," and with that, she vanished into the desert night like a ghost who had never been there. The officers stood frozen until she was gone. Riker whispered, "I can't believe I joked with the 3-star general." A broken bar. His buddy grinned. "Well, a broken bar, at least she liked you." But Riker just stared at the door, wondering how many legends the Marines walked past every day without ever knowing. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful military stories.